Today I want to share with you one of my favorite on the weekly rotation meals. You'll be able to make it in 20 minutes or less, and you will love it and eat more healthfully. I'm starting with a piece of salmon that's a little bit over a pound in size, and it has its skin on. I love this because it's so easy to prepare and there's no waste. I prepared my baking sheet by covering it with aluminum foil. This makes this an easy cleanup dinner as well. So not only is the prep easy, but the cleanup is a breeze. Cut your salmon into pieces the size that you want for your portions. I'm making a dinner for 2 tonight. And then I put just a tiny bit of oil on the pan and place the salmon slices onto the pan. Sprinkle the top of the salmon with just a tiny bit of olive oil. And I'm going to use my fingers to rub that over the top. And I'm going to season the salmon with my favorite Southwest blend. Let's talk about the seasoning mix because I love it so much. And you can get the recipe on the blog. But I want to talk about the tricks and tips on making this up. First off, you're making it in parts. And that means that you can use either a 1/4 teaspoon, you could use a 1/2 teaspoon, you could use a teaspoon, a cup, whatever the amount is that you're going to make. Just know that you're going to use it as parts. There's quite a lot of ingredients used in this mix, so I'm going to read from my little cheat notes here. You're going to use equal parts of kosher salt, black ground pepper, cayenne pepper, cumin, chili powder, onion powder, and then you're going to use a 1/2 part of garlic powder and basil. Mix them all together. But the 2 key ingredients that make this healthy to use is that you're going to substitute for white sugar and brown sugar in the recipe, equal parts of white sugar and brown sugar substitute. Just add them to your mix in place of the sugars that are included in the recipe in the blog. Just sprinkle as much of the seasoning as you think you'd like. This is a very flavorful seasoning, and if you are liking your food a little more bland, just use a tiny bit of it. But we like it a lot here. I like to cook my salmon in a hot oven, so my oven is preheating to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm also going to roast some green beans with my salmon, and they will cook beautifully in the oven along with the salmon at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. To prepare the green beans, I'm taking fresh French style green beans, and I've just sliced a 1/2 of an onion, and I'm going to add that to the pan along with a couple of cloves of garlic that I'm going to crush in my garlic press. Adding some salt, about a 1/2 teaspoon, pepper, also about a 1/2 teaspoon because we really do love our salt and pepper, and then some extra virgin olive oil. Then I'm going to get my hands in there and toss it around so that my green beans are covered in the oil, the salt, the pepper, the garlic, and there you have it. We're ready to go. Easy peasy. For the final step of my prep, I've mixed about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise with 1 tablespoon of sour cream and my favorite hot sauce. Any hot sauce will do. And just add the hot sauce to taste. This is going on top of the salmon when it is done cooking. With the oven done preheating, I'm ready to put both the salmon and the green beans in at the same time. They'll be done in about 15 to 20 minutes each. And so you can see that with this easy prep and the time that it takes to cook this dinner, this is easily a 30-minute meal you can have on a weeknight. Feel like you are taking care of yourself by eating healthfully and deliciously. It's really a good thing. Now let's take a few minutes for some Q&A. One thing that people do ask me, because I always do buy salmon that has skin on, they'll say, I don't like skin, can I buy
my salmon without the skin? And I would say absolutely yes. You can buy your salmon without the skin. It doesn't really matter when you're roasting it in the oven. I like to make sure that I do buy skin on when I'm grilling my salmon on the grill because of the heat that is going to hit the bottom of the salmon, and that the skin does help to protect the salmon from the intense heat. You'll find that when you use the aluminum foil on the bottom of your pan, if you have a nice thin spatula, you can scoop right under the salmon. The skin will actually stay adhered to the pan, and then you can just scoop that salmon right off and put it onto your plates for serving. So it's really not a big deal. Another question you might have is that I use 2 pans for the salmon and the green beans. And you could put them both on the same pan so that you only have 1 pan. Depending on the thickness of your salmon, you may have a differential in the completed cooking of the salmon versus the green beans. So it makes it easier for you to take one out of the oven before the other if you need a few more minutes for the other one to finish cooking. You might also ask, how long does it take for the salmon to cook? Well, it usually takes between 12 and 15 minutes for the salmon to cook in the oven at 425 degrees. But know that it will differ based on the thickness of your salmon. I like to buy my salmon about 1 inch thick, so I'm generally careful about the purchase of the salmon, and I don't like to buy the pieces that are very thin. If I'm successful at buying my salmon with the 1 inch thickness, I pretty much have the timing down. And as you make this recipe, like I do every week, you'll get really good at knowing when your salmon is cooked. You won't have to guess about it. Do you need to use the sugar substitute? Well, if you are trying to eat more healthfully, one of the goals that I have is to eliminate sugars from my diet. And you'll see that also in the video, I asked you to make sure that you purchased a mayonnaise that had no sugar added. I try to eliminate sugar completely from my diet. And when I do want to have a little sweetness, as I do like a little sweetness in the Southwest seasoning blend, because I think it helps to balance the other ingredients and adds to the flavor of the final dish, I do like to use a substitute. Now, the substitute that I use is, I use the Swerve blends. The Swerve granulated, which is the substitute for granulated sugar, is readily available at Walmart at a reasonable price. I do have trouble getting the brown sugar substitute locally, and so I order that from Amazon. Comes really quickly, and I'm very happy with it. If you have any other questions about the recipe or this video, I'd love for you to leave them for me in the comments section. All through the month of January, I'll be focused on providing you with other options for healthy weeknight meals. I hope you'll subscribe and come back and check out those recipes. And I wish you great luck in a healthier 2024.